So the Kansas City Chiefs are going back to yet another Super Bowl. They beat the Ravens 17-10. I thought Baltimore was going to beat them. I just thought that they had a bit too much for Kansas City. Kansas City going on the road for the first time in the whole Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid era. I thought the Bills were going to get them. I thought the Ravens were going to get them. Whoever they went on the road against, except for Miami, because Miami can't handle physical defenses. So I thought they would get Miami if they play them away. But outside of Miami, I thought that whoever played the Chiefs, they were going to knock them out. I thought they were going to be hype. The crowd was going to be loud and ruckus, and the home team was going to feed off of that. They were going to get pressure on Mahomes and stifle the Kansas City passing game. And I thought the offensive woes for Kansas City were going to carry out into the playoffs. But that has not happened this postseason. Unfortunately, for the Bills and the Ravens, even though the Ravens held them to 17 points, they only scored, play-by-play, 3 points at the end of the first half, and that was it. So the Ravens defense kept them in this game. Unfortunately for the offense, did not click for Baltimore. Now I'm gonna start with Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, 20 for 37, 272 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 1 bad interception. He was sacked 4 times. He ran the ball for 54 yards. He had 13 yards receiving. He caught his own pass when it got deflected at the line of scrimmage by Justin Reed. Yes, Justin Reed. Look, I made a video, I think around like maybe week 7 early on in the season, about Lamar. And I talked about if he had improved as a quarterback under Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. And I said I thought he hadn't. I don't think Lamar Jackson has improved as a quarterback, even under Todd Monken. And of course, I got some sensitive ball gargling fanboys, some ball gargling Lamar Jackson fanboys who love to gargle on Lamar Jackson's nuts, who can't handle any criticism. I'm just talking about what I see, okay? That's it. I'm not hating. I'm not making shit up. People accuse me of just making stuff up, which is hilarious because I devote hours and hours and hours of my life to watching these teams play and trying to study them. So when people say you just making up shit and you just looking at highlights and this and that, which is what you fanboys do, not me. People look at the stats and the flash and the wow of Lamar and athletes in general, but just specifically focusing on Lamar. They see him running around and avoid pressure, juke out a defender, and then he'll find somebody, throw like a 30-yard pass or a 40-yard touchdown or whatever, and people are like, wow, Lamar's the shit, he's great. It's a great play, but it's not what a quarterback should do. And all season long, I would see videos. I didn't watch the videos, but I would see the thumbnails, and Lamar Jackson is unstoppable, and he's the MVP, and he's having the greatest year of his career, and he's the best quarterback in the league. And I'm like, how? I watched the film. He's throwing it into the flat, wide receiver screens. He did it in this game. Quick throws. The receivers are creating yards after the catch. The defense is getting turnovers. He's benefiting off of short field situations. But he's not standing in the pocket and just dissecting coverage. He's not throwing guys open. He's not putting the ball to where only the receiver can get it when they're well covered. Slants, drag routes, I don't think teams respect him. Houston blitzed the crap out of him in the first half in the divisional playoff game last week. And then Sunday, the Chiefs did the same thing. I had a feeling that they were going to do the same thing. Why? Because they don't respect Lamar's throwing ability. They were able to get pressure on Lamar, and he couldn't handle it, just like he hasn't been able to handle it his entire career so far. They are not threatened by his throwing ability. Great quarterbacks don't get blitzed. I don't have the stat for it, but great quarterbacks don't get blitzed 15, 20 times during a football game. Why? Because they find a way to get the ball out of their hands. They know where they're going to go with it. And Lamar looks like a deer in headlights when his first read isn't open. I think he panics and he looks to run. And in this game, he probably should have ran a lot more. His strength is running the ball. Lamar has not changed at all this season. Now, I'll give him credit. He would stay in the pocket, go through his reads. There would be times to where he would get the ball out of his hands when he got pressure in his face, but teams still bring pressure. They still blitz him. and he still has shown that he cannot handle it. Like, the Ravens' success this season was the defense, the play calling, the offensive line, the running backs, and Lamar. Lamar was not the number one reason as to why the Ravens had such a good season this year. Oh, and receivers creating yards after the catch. Forgot to mention that. Sorry. He wasn't. And when he wasn't able to throw it into the flat and benefit off of screens, and the receivers weren't able to create yards after the catch, the Ravens offense got stifled. He had a bad pick in triple coverage. Why are you throwing it into triple coverage? The MVP did not play well in the biggest game of his life, the AFC Championship game. In my opinion, the MVP should go to Christian McCaffrey because he still dominated. He dominated in the NFC Championship game. He is the true driving force, in my opinion, for the San Francisco 49ers offense, and he's going to compete in the Super Bowl. So to me, Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP, not Lamar. But of course, it's not all on him, despite what people will say. Lamar didn't beat Mahomes, and he didn't show up. He's the reason why they lost. No, the offensive line that was good this season, that didn't really get a whole lot of credit, in my opinion, got beat. I thought that despite how good the Chiefs' defense is and their pass rush is, I thought that they would have had a good showing on Sunday, but they didn't. They got beat. Carl Loftus got a sack. Charles Omni-Hu got a sack, and he also got a strip sack, a strip fumble. Zay Flowers, he had a bonehead penalty after he caught a 54-yard pass, and then got a penalty, a taunting penalty, when he shoved L'Jarius Sneed when he was on the ground and stood over him. And then the ball got knocked out of his hands as he was about to score. I thought he was a little bit too loose with the football. He was trying to dive across the goal line, and Sneed punched it loose. I thought the ball was a bit too loose. He didn't really hold it tight to his body. And if he doesn't get it, I think Baltimore will still score because their strength is running the football, and they got a quarterback in Lamar Jackson who is very good at running the ball. So that would have been hard for the Chiefs to stop. I'm going to have to give some blame to, what's his name? John Harbaugh? I get the Harbaughs mixed up. Fuck. John Harbaugh? Yeah, John Harbaugh. And the coaching staff. I thought that they would run the ball a lot more, especially since Buffalo punched them in the mouth last week on the ground and had success running the football against the Chiefs. They only ran the ball 16 times for a total of 81 yards, and they didn't really stick to their strength, which is running the football. And when your quarterback is getting pressured and can't really throw like Lamar can, you need to play to your team's strength, which is running the football and utilizing your quarterback's legs. And I didn't think the coaching staff for the Ravens, they didn't try to take advantage of what Buffalo did to Kansas City last week, which is running the football. So the offensive line failed the Ravens. Zay Flowers had a bonehead penalty and coughed it up at the wrong time. Despite that, he still had 115 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Everyone else was pretty quiet. The defense kept them in the game. They started off rough in the beginning of the game, not being able to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes. He had all day to throw. He could have did his taxes if he wanted to. He was in a rhythm right off the bat. But then as the game went on, they were able to get pressure on Mahomes and force him out of the pocket, make him throw the ball away. They did a good job of tackling in the open field. Kansas City had some penalties that nullified their drive a little bit. They had 3 penalties, and it cost them 30 yards. So that didn't help. They put themselves in second and long situations. So yeah, the Ravens couldn't get it done. Thought this would be their year. Lamar has to get better as a quarterback. That may not happen. This is his 8th season. So at this point, you can probably say he is who he is. We'll see. They may win it all next season. As far as the Chiefs are concerned, Patrick Mahomes, 30 completions, 39 attempts, 241 yards, 1 touchdown. He was great. He was good once again. This Chiefs offense, unfortunately, as I mentioned, is clicking. Travis Kelce, 11 targets, 11 receptions, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Rashee Rice, 46 yards, 8 receptions, Valdez-Scantling had a big completion at the end of the game to seal it. The defense for the Chiefs played phenomenal. They made Lamar Jackson uncomfortable, sacked him 4 times, got a turnover and a pick. They held the Ravens to 81 yards rushing. The Ravens really couldn't get anything going on the ground watching the game. Justice Hill for the Ravens, he had 3 rushing yards, Jesus, but 34 receptions. 34 receptions, but 34 yards 34 yards receiving. The receivers couldn't really create yards after the catch. They did a good job of taking away the underneath throws for Lamar and forcing him to make throws that he wasn't comfortable making. Here we go again. The Chiefs got another chance to win back-to-back titles. I think the last time they attempted to go back-to-back was when they got mollywopped by Tampa. So yeah, and I think they're going to do it. I don't see the Niners beating them. The way the Niners look against Detroit, they should have lost. Probably should have lost against Green Bay. So I don't know. I think the Chiefs got this one in the bags. So those are my thoughts on this game. Please like and subscribe. That is it. I am out.